Hey everybody, it's Irene with BrainStormAcres, and obviously I'm down in the studio again. Now, this morning, what I am going to be doing is I am going to be removing my sanding belts off of my wet sander and replacing them with new sanding belts. Now, you can see this. This one you can't see as much. This is where the sand belts are actually joined together. There's a sort of a narrow line there. It gets a little chipped over time, and you get this dark spot here, which means it's completely smooth there. I can run my thumb on there. These other spots here, like this, are also very smooth. So what this is, even though it says it's 320 grit, it's way less than 320 grit. Now, it's even worse over here. This one's been used this morning, which is why it's darker. But you can see these patches here. There is no abrasive at all left on there. And there's not a lot on some of these other sections here either. So, see this whole strip here? It's all been worn off. And that shows where I actually tend to sand on it. I'm right-handed, so I'm frequently working from the right. There are some things that I will do from the other side in order to take advantage of the fact that it's, you know, a wide belt. There are other things I do right in the middle. I try and be aware of that when I'm using a belt, but at some point, even if I were using it completely evenly, it would get worn down to the point where it just doesn't have much abrasion left to it, and you have sort of, how can I put this? You're wasting your time, basically. You're rubbing on something that has way less grit than you think it does or that it should, and therefore it's increasing the amount of time that it's taking to do a project. I have labels on it. This says 100 grit, this says 320 grit. With grit, the higher the number, in this type of grit, the higher the number, the finer the grit. So 100 grit is a lot more abrasive than 320 grit. So I do my initial cut down with this, and then I do a finer polish with this, and then I have Kratex wheels over here that I can do much higher polishes with, and I have yet another tool over here that I can do even brighter polish. I also have buffing wheels over there that I can do nice touch-up on. So let me take this apart. This is kind of a pain to take apart. Let's see if I can see how cooperative it is today. Sometimes it comes off pretty easily, and sometimes it doesn't. The basic problem is you've got, this is an old piece of equipment, and you've got iron in contact with aluminum, because these containers here for containing the water are made with aluminum, and then they used iron bolts and stuff like that. So it corrodes really badly. I keep promising myself that I'll clean this up and replace all the bolts with stainless steel and all that kind of stuff. And I've been promising myself that for a couple of years, and it still hasn't happened, and it's not likely to anytime soon. It's just one of those things that you think about, but you don't necessarily do anything about it until something breaks, and then you do something about it. So let me see if I could force this to open it enough so that I can get this off. Is it going to work? Might not. I also have the option of removing, and I actually need to remove. A screwdriver is what I need. I use the opportunity when I'm taking this apart to clean things. This goop down at the bottom is a combination. It's got slightly bits of shininess in it. It's a combination of lead-free pewter, brass, sterling, grit, dirt, oxides, all kinds of charming things. So I will take the opportunity while I'm taking this apart to get all this out of the bottom and toss it in the trash. See, it's lovely crunchy bits. The stuff up here is mud because like I said, I just ran this morning. What I have here is I have screws that I can take out of this. That's funny. This particular screw, it's got sediment in the holder that's preventing it from letting me use a screwdriver on it. These screws are no longer the wonderful little tight things that they used to be. The plywood has This is a very old piece of equipment. I'm trying to think when I bought this. Geez. I think we may have bought this before we moved to Arizona. So probably 25 years ago. The company that made it is no longer in business. They had the misfortune of running up too much debt. They were giving too much credit to jewelers, and it basically, they could never come out from underneath it. Very unfortunate. They were around since forever. I don't know if it says when they were founded. They were founded in 1943. It's called Indian Jeweler Supply. They are gone, which I find sad. I don't like to see things like that disappear. Let's see if I can just sort of get this off without making too big a mess. Sometimes it's easier to take this part off. Sometimes it's easier to slide this out of the way. There. Good enough. So, what this lets you see is it lets you see the belt. And this belt, if I pull on it, will slide off sideways. Not easily, but it does slide off sideways. These are called expanding wheels. They are rubber, and they actually expand when they spin, which keeps the silicon carbide sanding paper in place. So this is a wet-dry sandpaper, basically. It's got goop on it from going down into the mud, but you can see it's got rules about which way it's got to spin. It's got to spin this way. So when I put the next new one on, I have to come in from the side the same way that I took this off and make sure that my arrows are going in the same direction. And this has been on. I will check my board. I normally have a maintenance board where I write these things so I know when it was changed last, because I like to keep track. I also have the problem that since this company is no longer in business, now these are standard sizes, but I can't get exactly the same stuff. So when I run out of these belts, which I'm going to do on one size belt, I'm going to do that on this size belt, this time, I have to switch brands. 3M and a bunch of other companies make the same sort of thing, so I'm not concerned about that. I'll just have to get used to a belt that has a different grit to it. So, because my regular suppliers don't carry this, which is kind of annoying, but I'm, at this moment at least, not willing to fiddle around with 17 different suppliers in order to locate somebody who does carry it. I had quite a few of these initially, because I always buy in quantity, and I think the packages, let's see. When I bought the packages, they came in 10. Yeah, so, yeah, they came in packages of 10. So if you have a couple of these, it takes a while to use them up. And this is a 320, so that's this one. Yeah, I've got, trying to think. I think I've got more of this big one. I think it's the smaller stuff I'm out of. But at any rate, I do have backup plans. I have different I think I have 3M belts that will replace these. It's an annoyance. It'll take a little getting used to, but it'll be fine. See what I'm doing? It's nothing amazing. It's a little annoying. You need to be careful not to cut yourself on the abrasive edge, because it is a little abrasive. While I've got this pulled out like this, I'm also going to get in behind it and use my handy dandy paint scraper to get out some more of the goop in here, because I like to start out clean. It's not going to affect the belt at all. It's just a personal thing of when I replace things like sanding belts or any other expendable things like that. I like to clean up the area completely so that I'm starting with a nice clean area. It's no different than sweeping before I do a casting session or something. It means there's nothing on the floor that I'm going to trip over. It's a safety factor. It's also just a tidiness factor. It's nice to have everything so you can tell what's going on.